Jey Uso makes his return to WWE television last night on SmackDown, but the Usos seemingly have been written off WWE TV ahead of next week's Elimination Chamber event and SmackDown taping in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. We've got all the details on that. Vince McMahon is possibly a hindrance to the WWE sale process. Ronda Rousey also returns last night on SmackDown, attacking a WWE superstar. We've got updates on some of the matches scheduled for Elimination Chamber that haven't been announced just yet. Also, a backstage internal reaction to the Paul Heyman Cody Rhodes promo this past Monday on Raw. The Sheamus Drew McIntyre Viking Raiders feud continues last night on SmackDown. The movie parodies are returning in the build-up to WrestleMania. We've got details on that. Randy Orton, we've got an update on his injury recovery and a timeline for his return. Elias provides an update on his brother, Ezekiel. Kota Ibushi says it's a possibility that he could sign with WWE, and the Undertaker's One Dead Man shows. More dates have been announced. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of World Wrestling Entertainment. And the biggest storyline right now in WWE, of course, is the Bloodline. Sami Zayn challenging for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship at Elimination Chamber next weekend. What happened last night, though, with the Usos, with Zayn, with Paul Heyman, with the entire Bloodline on SmackDown as we get closer to the big event in Canada? Now, stressing Canada being a bit of an issue for some members of the Bloodline. We'll talk on that. Now, last night's SmackDown started with a promo segment in the ring from Paul Heyman before he was interrupted by a familiar face. With Heyman calling Sami Zayn a psychopathic rebel, he claimed that Zayn was not in attendance at SmackDown during the show. Also referencing Cody Rhodes, mocking him by calling him a dumbass for musing that the championships weren't personal, saying that the championships were the family crest of the Anawahi and Fatu dynasties. It represents the tribe for which Roman Reigns is the chief. Either Sami Zayn at Elimination Chamber or Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. Without the titles, there is no island of relevancy. There is no Bloodline. There is no Paul Heyman. Without those titles, there is no Roman Reigns. However, when a hooded figure appeared behind Heyman and revealed himself to be Sami Zayn, the crowd literally went wild, being one of the most over stars still in WWE, arguably the top babyface with Cody Rhodes right now in the company. Sami Zayn stared up at the WrestleMania sign to start. He then turned his attention to Heyman and outstretched his hand from the microphone. Zayn assuring Heyman he wouldn't hurt him, but wondered why it was that Heyman was so vulnerable, reminding him that he is all out here by yourself, and he knows why. Heyman knows Roman Reigns' days as the Universal Champion are numbered. The walls are closing in and everything is crumbling. Zayn told Heyman that the Bloodline is on its way out as the crowd cheered before he shared a spoiler of his own. He pulled Heyman in for an embrace and told him that Roman doesn't need to worry about Cody. He will be the one to take him down. Now, it continued throughout the show. As mentioned, it was a very Bloodline-heavy show, as it really should be. Now, in a backstage segment ahead of the match, Jimmy Uso told Paul Heyman that he still hadn't heard from Jey. Of course, there was scheduled to be a tag team championship match on the show, with the Usos facing off against Braun Strowman and Ricochet. He noted that he had called everyone he could think of. Maybe Heyman could be his partner. However, Heyman was disinterested in that solution. When it came time to make their entrance, Jimmy emerged for the match alone, with the bell ringing and still no Jey. However, as Samantha Irwin was about to make the ring announcements and asked defending the titles alone, Jimmy stopped her and pointed to the crowd. Jey Uso came through the crowd to hug Jimmy and begin the match. It continued when it came to the match because in a backstage segment after the match, in which the Usos did retain their tag team championships, Jey told Jimmy that he would always have his back. When Jimmy asked Jey if he was officially back in the Bloodline, Jey responded that he wasn't sure yet, as Paul Heyman looked behind a pillar, with the Usos none the wiser. However, as Jey walked away and Heyman approached, he asked Jimmy if Jey had said anything, and he lied, saying he hadn't, as Heyman continued to clutch his cell phone. As Jimmy continued his way through the backstage area, he was stopped by none other than Sami Zayn. With Zayn taking time to thank Jey for leaving at the Royal Rumble when he did, he also paused to give a powerful message. Sami Zayn told Jey, quote, "I acknowledge you," before offering a fist bump, which Jey reluctantly returned after being sure to check if anyone was around to see it. Now, this then concluded in one final, it was a bit of a soap opera, but it was fantastic. In one final backstage segment, WWE answered the question as to how Jimmy and Jey Uso would be written out of appearing at next week's event in Montreal. Montreal, certainly, with Heyman noting that per orders from the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, the Usos can sit out next week as they have things covered in Montreal. Ending on an ominous message from the wise man who told Jimmy, quote, sometimes you see things on TV that you don't see when you're here live. Essentially saying, Roman Reigns, he's seen it all. He saw that you lied, and he saw that Jey Uso was acknowledged by Sami Zayn and gave the fist bump. Basically, Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns, they're always watching. And because of that, the Usos have been told, don't come to television next week. Take the week off. You're not welcome here. Now, this does make a lot of sense because there had been a lot of speculation on whether or not the Usos would be even able to appear on the SmackDown from Canada and Elimination Chamber in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, because of their past legal issues that could prevent an appearance. Now, you might say, well, Owen, what past legal issues are you talking about? Well, the real reason, as I mentioned, for their absence over the next 7 days or so is connected to their past legal issues. After initial worries about Jey Uso's status on the blue brand, as I mentioned, he turned up last night on SmackDown. They defended the titles. However, Paul Heyman later on in the show met Jimmy Uso and informed them that the tribal chief did not want the Usos for Elimination Chamber or SmackDown next week. Now, it was a great way, of course, to showcase the deepening cracks of the Bloodline's armor, but actually it's a way to explain their absence. According to reports, the Usos cannot be a part of Elimination Chamber in Montreal, Quebec, Canada due to their DUI history. Now, the Usos have had multiple DUI charges against them, and Canada takes matters very seriously. In the most recent case, Jonathan Fatu, Jimmy Uso, was arrested in Pensacola, Florida in 2021. He was charged $1,000 bond for his release. The Usos seemingly have mended their ways, but given the legal issues in the past, given the recency of said legal issues, there was, I guess, a feeling that they wouldn't be able to get across the border, or they didn't even want to try and approach it. They maybe tried. I'm sure they looked at it and they probably assessed it, and they were probably told it's not going to happen. So because of that, they're not going to be at Elimination Chamber. Most likely, they're not going to be at SmackDown next week either. Now, some people are saying, rightfully so, this could all be a red herring, Owen. This could be a situation whereby WWE, they do pay attention to the chatter online. They might think that, hey, we're seeing all of these people assuming that the Usos can't show up, and the assumption was previously that Jey Uso would be the one to turn on Sami Zayn at Elimination Chamber, paving the way and setting the seeds for the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 39 for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. If we say they're not welcome at SmackDown or Elimination Chamber, and the prevailing theory is because they're not allowed in the country, when they do show up on the show and cost Sami Zayn the undisputed WWE Championship, it's going to be a massive surprise and it's less predictable. That could be a situation. Maybe they found that, yes, Jimmy can't appear at Elimination Chamber because of the recency of his DUI arrest, but Jey, he might actually be able to appear in the country. If he can, he still could be the one to turn on Sami Zayn and could be the one to cost him the match at Elimination Chamber. Again, feeding into this storyline and playing with the minds of the wrestling community on social media as well. Now, Sami Zayn has also commented on the possibility we could hear his old theme return at Elimination Chamber. At Elimination Chamber, of course, Sami Zayn will challenge Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Of course, Zayn is now a babyface once more, and some fans have been hopeful that will lead to Sami using his original WWE main roster theme, Worlds Apart, again. In the past, the former honorary Uso of the Bloodline talked about feeling like going back to that theme song would be a regression for his character. Speaking with the Sick podcast, Zayn discussed being open to using the song as a one-off for Elimination Chamber. He said, quote, I mean, if it were to be going to come back, I feel like that would be the time and place to do it. I've said this in other interviews. I feel like it would kind of be taking a step backwards. I think maybe a new song is in the cards, but I feel like that song, even though people have a real fondness for it, it seems from a character's perspective, it just feels like taking a step backwards. At the same time, doing it like for a one-night thing in Montreal might be cool. I don't know. So him being pretty non-committal, I can understand his thought process in that, but let me know about the drama now in the Bloodline. Do you think that the Usos are still going to appear at Elimination Chamber despite them being told, we don't need you for then, and possibly the legal issues being a part of that? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, amid all of the storyline madness, there is obviously a lot of madness going on outside of storyline for WWE, the biggest being the sale of the company, a potential takeover. And a recent report suggests that Vince McMahon's involvement in the sale of WWE has been very controversial and seen as a hindrance. Writing in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer states, quote, "In a story CNBC wrote regarding the interview, they noted that Vince McMahon's potential future involvement has become an early sticking point in talks to various buyers. This element of the story has been reported upon previously." Meltzer would elaborate by explaining, quote, "Because of the payoffs to a number of women regarding affairs and allegations that some of those situations were not consensual, McMahon's return to the company and involvement in the sale talks has been very controversial. The economics of WWE are very strong and look only stronger going forward unless there is a collapse or decline of media rights fees, but WWE looks to be strong enough to where it's not someone in the middle who may be crunched out, a position more likely to affect other wrestling companies if television declines and streaming companies don't see them as game changers. At this stage of the game, the belief is that McMahon's presence is a hindrance and not a help in these negotiations, although as the largest stockholder, he is also the key beneficiary financially if and when the sale goes down, and for that reason, he forced his way back into the process." As I mentioned, we spoke about this yesterday. Meltzer had also addressed how much key executives would make if WWE were to be sold for $8 billion, although the current market valuation is just over $6.5 billion. WWE CEO Nick Khan recently suggested that a WWE sale could take around 3 months. The Wrestling Observer had previously revealed there had been corporate cuts in WWE since Vince McMahon's return, likely to get the company ready for said sale. Again, when it comes to more buyers being on the table, we haven't heard more than what we had heard previously about the likes of CNBC kind of rolling themselves out. The Saudi Public Investment Fund, Endeavor, those are the names that are still being floated around. We'll have to wait and see. But certainly McMahon's presence is being described as a hindrance to this entire process. Ronda Rousey is back on WWE television. She made her return last night on Friday Night SmackDown on Fox. The baddest woman on the planet stormed back onto WWE programming in a surprise appearance during Friday Night SmackDown. Rousey's entrance music interrupted Shayna Baszler, who had just made her own interruption to cut on a promo on Natalya. And retaliated by calling Baszler a knockoff version of Rousey. Baszler responded by making some pointed comments about her own career and accomplishments in pro wrestling predated Rousey's arrival in the industry. However, moments after Rousey hit the ring, it became clear that she and Baszler were still on the same page. After teasing a face-off, they both attacked Natalya. Shotzi ran down to the ring to try and even the odds, but proved to be no match for the duo of Rousey and Baszler, who stood tall in the ring at the end of the segment. Later, WWE announced Rousey and Baszler will face Natalya and Shotzi next Friday on SmackDown. Rousey had not been seen on WWE TV since she lost the SmackDown Women's Championship to the returning Charlotte Flair on the December 30 episode of SmackDown. Rousey's absence meant she missed out on the Royal Rumble match, where she could have secured herself a rematch against Flair at WrestleMania 39. Of course, Rhea Ripley won the Rumble and has already declared she will face Flair at WrestleMania. With the lineup set for the Elimination Chamber match to decide a WrestleMania title match for Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair, Rousey's path to WWE's biggest show of the year is currently unclear. If the alliance between Rousey and Baszler remains intact, they may decide to pursue the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, which of course is currently held by Damage Control's Dakota Kai and Io Sky. Previous reports had indicated that it was going to be that match scheduled for WrestleMania. However, because of what happened this past week on Raw with Lita returning and possibly Trish Stratus maybe returning this coming Monday on Raw, that whole Women's Tag Team Championship picture may have become a bit more unclear as we get closer to the showcase of the Immortals. Of course, prior to getting to WrestleMania, we have Elimination Chamber, and some matches that haven't been announced just yet are still penciled in for the show. Elimination Chamber is next week, and the card is shaping up to be something special, with plenty of major developments scheduled, including Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. It makes sense that plans have been in place for Elimination Chamber for quite some time. According to a new report from Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, at least 2 matches scheduled for next Saturday have been penciled in for a long time, going back to at least the fall. Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley has reportedly been the plan for months, though Edge was also initially scheduled to take on Balor in a Hell in a Cell match at the Royal Rumble last month. Additionally, the company has known about Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, that rematch since November. This will be the third match between Lesnar and Lashley, following their WWE Championship match at last year's Royal Rumble, as well as another singles match at Crown Jewel in November. It was clear the two still had unfinished business when they clashed at this year's Men's Royal Rumble match, with Lashley eliminating Lesnar to shock the audience before being thrown over the top rope by Seth freaking Rollins. Meanwhile, the issues between Edge and the Judgment Day also stretch back to last year, as Edge was the one who initially founded the group alongside Ripley and Damian Priest. He was supplanted as the leader of the group by Balor, and the two have been locking horns ever since. Like Lashley and Lesnar, they have found themselves at odds during the Men's Royal Rumble match, with Edge's wife and former three-time WWE Women's Champion Beth Phoenix getting involved when Ripley made an appearance, setting up their Elimination Chamber mixed tag team bout. Now let's move on and talk about Cody Rhodes and Paul Heyman. We spoke about Paul Heyman earlier on when it came to the Bloodlines drama on SmackDown, and a new report has revealed the backstage reaction to Cody Rhodes and Paul Heyman's promo from this week's edition of Raw. On the February 6th edition of Raw, Cody Rhodes and Paul Heyman had a captivating promo exchange to help build up Rhodes' upcoming undisputed WWE Universal Championship match against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. Per Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, he has provided an update in regards to the backstage reaction to the segment, noting that this promo exchange was said to have benefited from WWE's much looser scripting since Vince McMahon stepped down as the head of creative and retired last July. According to those close to Heyman, he was caught by surprise with Cody mentioning Dusty Rhodes being booked by ECW in 2000. Those close to Cody also stated that they weren't sure if it had ever been communicated to Heyman how important the ECW bookings were to the Rhodes family in general. The report goes on to note that Paul Heyman wrote his part of the promo, while Cody Rhodes wrote his, with everything coming together perfectly. The talent involved was said to have been very pleased with the segments and the promo. Also, higher-ups and officials were also thrilled with both the content, the fan reception to what will be the headline bout at WrestleMania. One WWE higher-up said, quote, "Cody Rhodes is a star and Paul Heyman is a star maker. They were in a difficult position and made something that seemed like a manufactured booking decision become a personal WrestleMania main event if it ends up going in that direction." As previously reported, another report had noted that the segment with Rhodes and Heyman, quote, was completely different to the original plans and is being described as one of the best promo segments in a long time on Monday Night Raw. Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, their feud continues with the Viking Raiders on SmackDown. After a fairly mundane match with Hit Row, a new set of challengers revealed themselves for Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. During a quick match that was notable for not including a tag-in to Top Dollar, it was Ashanti the Adonis who took a vicious headbutt from Drew McIntyre and eventually the pin. However, after the conclusion of the match, a new set of challengers to the Not Banger Bros emerged in Valhalla and the Viking Raiders. And this, of course, has been a developing story that's been going on for a while, with the Viking Raiders attacking McIntyre and Sheamus in recent weeks. Clearly, they're going to be building to some kind of tag match. Whether that will be at Elimination Chamber, whether that will be on SmackDown next week, we'll have to wait and see. You asked for it, and seemingly WWE is delivering, because the infamous or famous movie parodies that we saw at WrestleMania 21 on the build-up to WrestleMania 21 in 2005, WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, they are returning. WWE may once again be fully embracing the Hollywood vibe when it hits Los Angeles for WrestleMania 39. While blockbuster names like The Rock or John Cena may or may not walk the red carpet to compete in the squared circle, WWE reportedly has a different fan favorite in the works to help establish that Tinseltown identity once again. This is what WrestleVotes had to say on Friday. Quote, "I'm hearing WWE has begun filming brand new movie parody promos similar to those from WrestleMania 21. Miz, McIntyre, Sheamus, Brutes, and Street Profits all expected to be included in the promotion for WrestleMania Goes Hollywood. No word as to which classic flicks the wrestlers will be recreating, but the stars of today will have tall order if they want to compete with the hilarious trailers some talent did for WrestleMania 21. We saw Eddie Guerrero and Booker T reimagined as Vincent Vega and Jules Winfield in Pulp Fiction, while John Cena and JBL parodied the famous "You Can't Handle the Truth" scene from A Few Good Men starring Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise. Unfortunately for someone like McIntyre, Triple H already recreated the William Wallace scene from Braveheart, and Stone Cold Steve Austin took up the role of Russell Crowe in Gladiator. Even Batista ended up foreshadowing his rise to Hollywood stardom, briefly doing his best Robert De Niro in the Taxi Driver impersonation alongside the likes of The Big Show, Carlito, Chavo Guerrero, Gene Snitsky, and others. However, with Sheamus and the Brawling Brutes on tap to participate, WWE opens itself up for countless ensemble scene opportunities. I'm so glad these are returning. I absolutely loved all of these. Again, it's going to be very difficult to see if they can reach the same level as these ones in the past, but man, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do, and knowing WWE's production, this should be absolutely fantastic. What's the latest when it comes to Randy Orton's injury recovery and a return timeline? Well, of course, Randy Orton hasn't wrestled since May of 2022, with concern over the severity of his back issues leaving WWE concerned. Dave Meltzer had previously reported that Orton's career almost ended after the Usos beat RK Bro for the Raw Tag Team Championships in a unification match on May 20, 2022. Now, it was recently shared a picture of Randy Orton looking pretty jacked whilst he was doing some charity work. Whilst this photo no doubt got fans hoping for good news, Dave Meltzer has provided an update in the Wrestling Observer newsletter stating, quote, "There were some photos of Orton from February 3rd. He was at the Boone Center in Missouri, which is a place where special needs individuals go to get jobs. Orton looks like he has been training. We've heard no wrestling update on him recently, but his back injuries were very serious, and a few months ago, there was concern about whether he'd be able to return, or at best, it would be a long time, which it's already been." To date, of course, Orton has been a 10-time WWE champion, a 4-time World Heavyweight champion, a United States champion, an Intercontinental champion, a Tag Team champion holding WWE World Tag Team Championships, the Raw Tag Team Championships, SmackDown Tag Team Championships. He's held it all. Here's the hope that he can come back and he can wrestle once again. A picture doesn't necessarily mean that. And at this stage in his career and his life, it's about making sure that he can stay around for his family for the future. And obviously, we want to see him come back. And I think he eventually will, but there's no rush, certainly. I hear you've been crying. What, is there an update on Ezekiel? Well, Elias has given one. Since Elias made his long-awaited return to WWE in October, there had been no sign of his brother Ezekiel. Ezekiel was last seen in August on Raw, ending up hospitalized following a vicious attack by Kevin Owens. He was also not a part of any creative plans moving forward, and his name was later removed from WWE's internal roster. So how is Ezekiel doing? What is his status? Elias provided a quick health update during his interview with WWE Deutschland, saying, quote, "Yeah, I got to be honest with you, the boss is in way more contact with him than I am. He wants to know when he's going to be back, how is he, everything like that. But the truth is, all of the reports I get is that he's still in a coma. He's still in the hospital recovering ever since he was taken out by Kevin Owens. I don't know if you remember when that whole family was gathered by the hospital bed. I kind of keep my distance now to protect myself emotionally. It's hard to see my brother like that, but all the reports I get say he's still in a coma, and we're hoping for a recovery though. Sadly, that means we won't be seeing Ezekiel anytime soon. Fortunately for Elias though, he's been back in the wake of his absence, and he's been very active. He's had matches with the likes of Alpha Academy, Amos, and Solo Sikoa. This past Monday night, he squared off with Montez Ford to qualify for the Elimination Chamber match, but ultimately he fell short. So no Ezekiel anytime soon. Kota Ibushi, of course, he's a free agent, and could he be heading to WWE? A lot of people expect him to go to AEW due to his ties and friendship with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. He previously teamed with Omega as the Golden Lovers, and the duo later joined the Young Bucks to form the Golden Elite. Speaking with Dark Pusuru Flucian, the former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion made it clear that he would not rule out working for WWE. He said, quote, "Of course I'm interested in it. I'm good at producing players, and I've created stars, so I don't think there's anyone who can control me, even in that frame. I live so freely." In the interview, it was noted that Ibushi has high interest in working with AEW. Ibushi also recently noted that he doesn't think he'll go to All Elite Wrestling immediately, but thinks he'll eventually talk to them, so he hasn't ruled out going to WWE. By all accounts, he wants to remain a freelancer, basically meaning he doesn't want to tie himself down to one company long term, which he would probably have to do with WWE, so whilst it's unlikely, he would be interested if they could work something out. Finally, more dates have been announced for The Undertaker's One Dead Man Show. Since debuting last summer, The Undertaker's One Dead Man Show has become a popular attraction attached to several WWE premium live event weekends, including SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and most recently, the Royal Rumble. After its impending stop in Montreal, Quebec, Canada on February 16 amid Elimination Chamber festivities, the One Dead Man Show is set to make 2 more. As announced by WWE, fans can take a peek behind the curtain as The Undertaker gears up for a pair of shows ahead of WrestleMania 39. On March 24, the Hall of Famer will make his way to the Chelsea at the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas. The following week, The Undertaker takes on the city of Los Angeles, the site of this year's WrestleMania, and he gathers at the Novo at LA Live on Friday, March 31st. The Undertaker One Dead Man Show will feature the Phenom in an intimate setting, sharing never-before-heard stories from his Hall of Fame career and taking questions from the WWE Universe in attendance, WWE shared. The show has sold out venues in Nashville, Philadelphia, Boston, and San Antonio since debuting last summer. Tickets for each show will go on sale this Tuesday, February 14 at 10 a.m. Pacific time. For the Las Vegas show, purchases will be made through Ticketmaster, while Access.com will be the go-to site for the tickets for the Los Angeles event. As I mentioned, it's from what I've seen, I haven't been to one, but from the reports I've heard, it's a show. And if you're in town, why not go and watch The Undertaker? But there you go, guys. It's the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. Remember, you can join the WN365 roster by clicking that join button. You get exclusive access to badges, emojis, members priority chat. You also are going to get the upcoming exclusive members only shows such as live streams and pre-recorded shows. They're going to include historic match watch-alongs, historic show watch-alongs. We're going to be doing interviews, possibly call-in shows in the future, debate shows. So we've got it all covered. So now's the perfect time to join. But there you go, guys. Latest WWE news. I'll speak to you again very soon. Have a great Saturday.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.